How you doing, Bruin fans? Todd Reeves here with your UCLA Daily report. It is now Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. Glad you've joined me today for this episode. We're going to be talking some men's basketball, some football, of course, mostly on the recruiting side for both of those. And we're going to talk about a little shout out for a couple of other programs on campus at UCLA. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the UCLA Daily brought to you by the Fan Arch Network. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and also leave 5-star reviews on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. So, thanks for joining in today's episode. Well, yesterday we talked a little bit about Jalen Petty and how he was at UCLA for an on-campus visit, and after that, after recording that, he committed to UCLA. So a good sign for UCLA. I expressed my concern for the roster, especially in the backcourt in yesterday's episode, but Mick Cronin responded. He responded with immediately getting a guard from Texas Tech. I gave a few um, of the scouting, a few ideas from the scouting report about Petty. The fact that he's about 6 foot, 6'1", averaged 10 points and 4 rebounds and 2 assists for Texas Tech last year. He started 22 games for a team that was a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. And part of that reason they were a 5 seed is because they lost their best player about 3/4 of the way through the season. And Obi Toppin, or is it Obi Toppin, or it was a Toppin brother. But anyways, they lost him to a torn ACL. But before that, had been in the top 20 all year long. I think they even got into the top 10 and beat Arizona at Arizona. So he started most of the season, did Petty for most of the year for Texas Tech, who is a really good team. So you would think he's going to start in the backcourt. He's a combo guard, but so he'll kind of play both, and he'll start in the backcourt with Trent Perry. So we got the Perry Petty backcourt coming to UCLA for the 2026-2027 season. Um, we still are looking for more signees from the transfer portal. There's some key players on campus, probably as we speak, or will be this week. This is kind of a big week for, uh, on-campus visitors. Hopefully, it's going well. There are reports that John Blackwell, who we've mentioned before on this podcast, from the shooting guard from Wisconsin, is planning on coming to UCLA if he's not already here. Um, and when I mean coming, I mean visiting UCLA, not necessarily committing. But there was also a report I saw on Twitter today that Louisville's making a big push for him as well. So there's a lot of suitors for Blackwell, who's probably, I mean, there's different rankings, but probably a top 5 player in the portal at this point. So it would be big to get him. Again, he's a shooting guard that averaged 19 points a game, can really shoot it from the outside for Wisconsin. So he's an important piece. It's not a do or die piece by any means, as but UCLA does still have some work to do in the portal. They still have to find again a wing, and they have to find a big man. But progress is progress. One of the key elements too for Jalen Petty is the fact that he just finished his freshman year. He's only going into his sophomore season next year. And it's just interesting because the 3 signees so far for UCLA out of the portal, or the 3 commits, I should say, are all multi-year guys. None of them so far have 1 year of eligibility left. They all have multiple years. Um, 2 of the 3 signees, or excuse me, commits, have 3 years available to them, including Petty. So I'm thinking, is this the plan for Cronin? One of the strengths that a lot of people say, and I agree with, is the fact that Cronin does better when he's able to develop guys, and these 1 year players, one and done kind of thing, just don't suit Cronin's coaching style. Once you get used to his system and you spend multiple years in it, You can see improvements among the players, Trent Perry being one of them. I mean, he had a much better sophomore year than he did freshman year. And, also when you're in the program a couple of years. I think Cronin ends up trusting those kind of players more, ends up getting more playing time for those players, and the new guys or the ones he's not so sure about kind of get less playing time. I think that's the deal with a lot of coaches, but Cronin seems to follow that. Ben Howland was kind of the same way at UCLA, where he had his kind of favorites, and he would give them a lot of leeway as opposed to some other players or young freshmen. Peyton Watson comes to mind from a few years ago with Cronin. Didn't seem to get him a ton of time as a freshman. He was a one and done. And he's having a nice NBA career, but it seems like the plan as far as the transfer portal for UCLA is to get these multi-year guys. And you can say, play devil's advocate and say that, oh, well, yeah, that's true. But every year these guys are free agents. And that's true. Like come 1 year from now, these portal signees will be available to all the other schools if they want. They can enter the transfer portal again. However, as it's also been pointed out, UCLA seems to keep all their own guys that they want. And, this past season, the UCLA has kept all the guys that they wanted, the Brandon Williams, the Eric Freeney, the Eric Daly, the Xavier Booker, Trent Perry, all came back. I mean, there's only one real exception to that rule, and that's the big man that we've talked about before at Michigan, who just won a national championship. But other than Daimara, excuse me, everyone who has played at UCLA and the Bruins have wanted back, they've gotten back. So I think that's the plan to get all these guys back again. Yes, it will cost NIL money, and yes, they may need to recruit them a little bit, but I mean, that's just the nature of college basketball right now. So we'll see if that's Cronin's plan going forward. And, it's an interesting strategy because one, John Blackwell doesn't fit that strategy. Only got 1 year of eligibility left. So um, who knows if, maybe that's a significant factor in his recruitment that maybe UCLA shies away from him. But he's such a great player. You would think that UCLA is also making a big push for him as well. So we'll see. Will the next commit be a multi-year guy? Because if he is, I think you have to make the statement that Cronin's looking for guys that he can develop over multiple years as opposed to these guys that just stay 1 year and then leave. Like I'm sure, Donovan Dent didn't have the greatest season, but I'm sure Cronin would love to have him back for a second or even a third year to develop him even more. And Dent would probably maybe reach his potential and become that all-American player that the Bruin fans were expecting. But it's just a 1 year deal, so he's gone and out of eligibility. And I think maybe UCLA might be shying away from those kind of players. But we'll see down the road. That it's still early in the portal, and again, this is just this year. We don't know if this is a long-term solution for UCLA, but maybe it is. So who knows? But on the short term, as far as UCLA football goes, they have been killing it recently. I mean, the latest, another commit, almost about the same time that Petty committed to UCLA basketball. Pole Moala, I hope that's how you pronounce his name. I'm not real good with the high school recruits' pronunciations, but uh, Moala surprised a lot of people by committing to UCLA, just like Petty did. And was I believe it was late Sunday night when Moala committed. And it's surprising because Moala didn't even have UCLA on his radar a few months ago. Like he was talking to other schools. Ole Miss was probably in the lead. USC, of course, had checked in on him, but Moala decided on UCLA. He's a DB. He's played both corner and safety in high school. He's kind of more suited to be a safety. He's about 6 feet. He's listed 165 pounds, but he probably is a little bit bigger than that and could get close to the 200 range by the time he's a few years into the UCLA program with the weight program and nutrition. So, as we said, he appears to be a safety. He's a 4-star. He'll be attending Santa Margarita High School. this upcoming season. He just transferred there. Santa Margarita is the defending state champions in high school football, so he'll get some good coaching there. But he chose UCLA, as we said, over Ole Miss, Michigan, Oklahoma, and Cal. There's that Cal again. I mean, Cal's going to be in. If UCLA's in on a player, it appears Cal's in on them too. They're really targeting the same kind of players, it seems, in the recruiting process, at least in the 2027 class. So Moala, who was actually originally a 2028 class, reclassified and will graduate early. And so he'll be coming in 2027, and hopefully maybe a year from now he'll be able to participate in some spring practices. But he was out there, they said multiple times out at spring practices, liked what he saw. Um, Again, one of the headlines I saw was that Oklahoma was absolutely blindsided by this commitment. Moala had not planned to commit though till the end of the month. Um, he was taking his time, and then kind of out of the blue, out of nowhere, he decides to commit to UCLA. So a great recruiting ploy by Coach Bob Chesney and his recruiting staff. They did a fabulous job recruiting Moala, and part of the reason why he was able to get him is the kind of the innovative style that Coach Chesney has implemented at UCLA. I mean, these aren't groundbreaking, I'm sure, recruiting strategies, but you have to give it up. A video went online on social media that went viral of Moala and his family stepping out of the elevator at the Wasserman Center, and he was greeted by the UCLA coaching staff who was cheering him on and doing an 8 clap in front of him. And it just shows you the kind of steps that Coach Chesney and his staff are willing to make for these recruits. It obviously went over very well for a recruit like Moala, and he ended up committing to UCLA. So those kind of things work. One of the other players that uh, has been kind of mentioned as UCLA is making a big push for him is uh, Lex Malongai from Mater Dei. He's an offensive lineman. Supposedly, they're making a big push on him. Uh, they're doing a good job. They're not shying away from these big time recruits at big time schools like Mater Dei. A lot of times in the past, it seems like UCLA has just, said Mater Dei. They're probably going to USC or some other big school, and really hasn't um, made a significant effort to get some of these Mater Dei players, but now they are. They've already signed 2 Mater Dei players. They're looking for a third, and Malongai might be the guy. And the recruiting has for him has been a little bit different as well. Some heard reports about some videos being made from Coach Bob Chesney that Malongai put on uh, his Instagram, I believe, of Coach Chesney at practice making a video personally for him. So Chesney pulling out all the stops on these recruits, and he's going to need to, as we said. He started off, or the word was he started off behind the 8 ball on the 2027 class, and now we're looking maybe at a top 20 class, maybe a top 15 if he can keep these things rolling. And it's all due to the enthusiasm and the culture, as we've said many times, that he's building, and also the recruiting style. I mean, whatever message he's sending to recruits is working. And we were worried about that. Was it really, just smoke screens as far as the players and what they thought of UCLA? Because there was a lot of positive talk, but it appears it's more than just talk, because a few guys have committed, and maybe some more will commit. And it's just a fabulous job by Coach Chesney and his staff. They'll have another spring practice out there today, and we'll talk about that spring practice on the show tomorrow. Well, before we go, I just wanted to give a couple of shout outs. One to UCLA women's basketball. They're doing pretty well in the portal. They've signed, as of this recording, uh, 3 players, including an interesting one, Elena, Armasalo, Armasilo, Armasalo, I believe. Um, Sorry, Bruin women's basketball fans, if I butchered that name, but uh, she's an interesting case because she just committed to the Bruins out of the transfer portal. She was on the Bruin team 2 years ago and then left to transfer to North Carolina and now has transferred back. So that shows you the wild world of the recruiting world, even in women's basketball. I mean, some wild things out there. So one player who had left UCLA and had left the program has decided to come back. So good for her and good for Coach Corey Close and the women's team. And hopefully they're reloading to make another run in the NCAA tournament next year. And also one other shout out I want to give is to the UCLA baseball team. They just won their 27th game in a row. They haven't lost a game since the end of February. They're 33-2 overall, 18-0 in Big Ten play. They're ranked number one in the country. They're 7 wins away from tying the all-time winning streak in NCAA baseball history. So, congratulations on the Bruins. They just had their 6th straight sweep in the Big Ten. So they're 18-0. I mean, unbelievable by the Bruin baseball squad, who is going to go into the tournament when it starts as the clear favorite to win the national championship. And hopefully they can keep things rolling. They play tonight at Jackie Robinson Stadium against UC Santa Barbara, where they'll look for their 28th win in a row. Well, that'll do it for me, Todd Reeves, on your UCLA Daily. Come back tomorrow, and we'll have some more stuff. I'm sure there'll be portal news, sure spring practice news out there. So come back and listen, and don't forget, thumbs up and subscribe. All right, have a good day, everybody. We'll talk to you again later, Bruin fans. Take care.